I found you guys in 2020, and after paying off all my debt, I'm now on baby step 6. I've been dating the same woman for 4.5 years. She's absolutely amazing. I love her to death. The one thing we struggle with is money, and we pretty much see it kind of opposite. We're getting to a point in our relationship where, we're heavily discussing marriage and what all that looks like. And we're kind of in a spot where, I try to help her as much as possible and as much as she wants me to, I guess, to set up budgets and stuff like that. And it just never works out. She always goes way over budget or whatever. And if we were to get married, like she would sell her house and move in with me, and the profits from that would pay off all of her debts. She has about $65,000 in debts. So it's not really like a concern from that aspect. It's more just, I guess I'm scared to move forward with someone that I've never seen can stay within a budget. And I'm worried that it's the number one reason people get a divorce. I'm worried about becoming a statistic because we fight about money all the time.
Can I
Stop. I get my channel. I get the first word. Sorry to the lovely Rachel. Okay. I was holding it. Okay. Just hold it as long as I could. So here's the thing. He says, I don't even know where to begin. He says, should he marry someone that, he's not quite sure of, because he doesn't want to be a statistic with the money. I can tell you right now, he's got all the information he needs about her financially, everything. And I've been bankrupt twice, okay? 20s and my 30s. All right. So trust me, he got all the information. I have changed the error of my ways, but this isn't about me. This is about the call. All right. But I'm giving you my perspective. He has all the information he needs. He sounds like a very young person. Okay. And who is sort of in this, he's been kind of sucked up into that. Oh, I'm so in love. This is the right person. Except if you have an accept, okay, at the end of your sentence, EXCEPT. And it is one of those big topics as to why people get divorced, myself included. All right. Because I've been divorced 10 years. Right then and there, you have a problem. This is not except they leave the toothpaste off the cap. That's usually not a reason people get divorced. Except she sometimes gives me coffee with caffeine in it when I ask for decaf. All right, we can work on those things. All right. Except whenever I see her with money, she always goes over budget. Here is another thing. I should have written down notes. Okay, but here's another thing. All right. That I was thinking of too. He was saying that she could sell her house. Right? She could sell her house, and on selling the house, they could use that to pay off whose debt? Her debt. Oh, family, I see a problem. So here's what I'm thinking in my head, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, okay? They take her house, they sell her house to pay off her debt. And now a person, not in this case, we have a woman, this woman who is bad with money. What do you think she's going to do once they sell her house to pay off her debt and balance her down to zero? What do you think she's going to do? Anybody have any suggestions? Yes, she's going to run the debt right back up. Oh, and now guess what, young man? It's your debt. Because you see, right now, you can look at the debt as hers. Even if they get married, they're still selling her house. But notice, it's her house to pay her debt. Is that a way to start a marriage? Instead of saying, well, we could sell the house to pay our debt. It's going to be looked at as her debt. And could she also become resentful? Because a woman like this, oh, there's so much to say. It's a good thing there's enough bandwidth on the internet for me to get through this. Now, I want you to think of this, okay? A woman who is very selfish, financially selfish, okay? I guarantee you she's going to be tit for tat on what he spends money on compared to what she spends money on. And she's going to be the type of woman that's going to want to feel as though she, by mere fact that she's the wife, I guarantee to you, she's going to feel that she shouldn't have to live by a budget. She's marrying, or I should say he is marrying a woman. This man who lives by a budget is marrying a woman who does not live by a budget. Who's going to hate whom first? It's almost a race. Who's going to hate whom first? He's going to eventually hate her. Hate might be a strong word, but by the time it reaches divorce court, it's probably pretty accurate. Okay. He's either going to dislike her because he can't keep her in line with the budget. There goes your future retirement plan, by the way. Okay, you want a retirement plan? Don't get with someone who thinks carelessly of money. Or she's going to eventually resent him because she's going to feel like she has no control of money. He's always talking about a budget. He never wants to just spend. Do not marry someone if one of your big accepts at the end is we fight over money. And I believe that's what they actually put in the calendar, was that they not in the calendar, but in the thumbnail, they fight over money. This is not, now let me put it a different way. I always say that the weakest link is what holds up the fence. If there's a weak link, sorry, I have hair on my chin. If there's a weak link and that weak link isn't as strong as everyone else, what happens to the fence? It collapses. Okay, well, let's apply that analogy to money, to debt. Okay. The weakest link in a budget, is it the person who spends the money or the person who saves and balances the money? Well, of course, we would logically say the weakest link is the person who spends the money. You know, there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. That's a song from way, way in the 70s, okay? It's probably older than that. She is going to be the weak link. She is going to be what keeps this young man who is all gung-ho for let's budget. She is going to be what keeps him from being able to not only save for retirement, but to have to spend all of his adult years working 1, 2, 3 jobs. She is going to be, should they choose to have kids, please don't have children with her. Please, I beg you, don't do it, okay? She is going to be what causes him to have to work 2 jobs. He's going to be the guy calling into the Ramsey show, mark my words, in about, I don't know, let's give it 6 years. Heck, let's go as early as 4. Let's say they decide to get married. He says he's dumb enough to decide to go ahead and marry her. They have little children, and he's going to be the one calling in 3-4 years going, you know, Mr. Ramsey, I'm working 2 jobs. I've tried to get my wife on board with the budget and she just won't do it. We are $100,000 in credit card debt. She's got the kids, she wants to put them in private school. You see, can you say, or could he say he married her and did not know this? See, what's neat about calls like this or people like this lady that he apparently wants to marry, she's showing all of her colors. She's showing everything about her. All the red flags are there. Okay. All the flags. Look, I don't like budgets. I don't stay in budgets. I run bank accounts over the limit. And here's the kicker. He says he wants to marry her. So I'm assuming that she's putting on her best presentation. Is this the best that she has? Is this the best that he can find? You are so in love with me. I want to make sure that you remain in love with me. Yes, I know I'm divorced, but that wasn't my choice, but we digress. Okay. But the bottom line is she supposedly is giving him the best of her. This is her best. Do you want it? Guys, don't marry women that believe your pocketbook is supposed to completely support their lifestyle with no effort from them. This is the type of woman that would marry a nice guy like him. Yes, the nice guy. Okay. She would marry a nice guy like him. She would run the account over, and then she expects him to go out and drive Uber to catch the account up. And when he says to her, hey, honey, I think perhaps you should get a job, she's going to say, no, I can't. I'm pregnant. I can't work. Okay. Now we've got baby. I can't work for that either. I am not insulting pregnant women and mothers. Just follow along with me here. Okay. Just follow me. We are talking about the woman in this call. I'm not talking about you. Okay. I'm not talking about you. All right. But this is the type of woman. She's like a peacock. I think it's a male peacock that has the feathers, but again, follow me here. Okay. all her feathers, all the red flags are out. He has no doubt what type of woman he is marrying. And the reason we know he has no doubt, because he's calling into the Dave Ramsey show. In other words, something in his brain is going, I really should not get together with this woman. I love her to death, except believe what you see her do. Forget even what she says. What does she do? I could tell you, yeah, at times, I get a little careless with money. Okay. But then you see that, I work a job and a half. You see that last I checked, my credit score was 802. You see that I remain debt free. In other words, it's like, okay, there are people who will always tell you they're broke and they're not really broke. That's kind of where I'm at in my life. I'll tell you I'm broke, but I'm really not broke. Okay. I'm not rich, but I'm not broke and I'm not suffering. I'm just a nice, solid, low middle class school teacher. But seriously, this is the type of woman that will have him calling into the Dave Ramsey show. Mark my words. Okay, Rachel, your turn. Oh, really quickly, before I forget, I put up an upload earlier today. Yes, today is double upload days. We get ready to go into summer. So I will attach this to the end. $1,700 a month to Sally Mae. So as long as we're talking about people who are going broke, I put that up just a few hours ago today. Yeah, so I'll attach that to the end. All right, Rachel, your turn.
This, Robert, is she not being able to stay is she not able to stay on budget because the budget's not realistic for what she's set up? Or is it that she truly spends more than she makes and she's just says that's just how it is?
Yeah, she just spends more than she makes. I mean, she brings in more money than I do, honestly.
What does she spend it on? What's she doing? Shopping, vacations? Like what's
yeah. So like in her every dollar, she's got a food category that's supposed to be $600. Last month she spent $1,100, and then like
that is a big difference in food. I hope she works out.
Her shopping, it's supposed to be I think $400, and that includes even like unnecessary fun purchases that everyone has to have. But instead she spent like $900. She's a mom of two. She wants to get a mommy makeover. And so like
hold up. Okay, I listened to this for the first time with you guys. She's a mommy of two. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Robert, I think that's his name. Robert, do not marry this woman. This just ran a few days ago. Robert, you got time to find this channel, to find me, and do the right thing and don't marry her. And we're not even going to bring up words like simp and sucker and, you become the stepdad that, the children are ungrateful for. Don't do it. Now that I know this, no. This is a woman who has no control, and she's going to look to him. Now we know his name. She's going to look to Robert to take care of her, to keep her not only in the lifestyle she is accustomed to as an unmarried woman. Wait till you're married and she now has legal rights to your finances, and she abuses it.
In her head, she's justifying, well, if I can pay off these two debts, that's payments equal what the mommy makeover payments will make, then I can do it. But she's never once made like that extra debt payment to even pay those debts down. She's more of like a, you got to spend the money that you make to have fun kind of thing than I am.
Why can you, maybe some of you men out there kind of like me? Why do you fall for women like this? There are two types of, I know there are lots of types of women, of course, understandably, but there are, sometimes I sit and I go, why would a guy be attracted to this? It's not the fact that she's a mama too so much. Okay. I think it's easier if parents date parents, just because that's what I saw in my family, but it's not required by any means. Okay. And I think the older the kids get, the less important it gets. So I think it's different when they have really little kids. I remember my mom, because my mom was divorced and I was about 14, 15. And she said her commitment was to raise us. And then once the youngest child got into high school, then she was fine with dating. Because just the older you get, it's not as big of a deal. But we don't know how old these kids are. Okay. But the problem is the habits. What I see is the problem, that the habits that he has, that she has with money, guess who's following it? The children are. So now he's going to marry into a family. Yes, a family. She has a family. He wants to marry into a family where the mother can't keep track of the finances. Guess what? You're going to have two little bratty children that can't keep track of the finances either. And they're going to hate you when they don't get what they want. And they hear from mommy, oh, well, your stepdad's just not, he's just being too cheap. Why would you put yourself, Robert, in a position to become the most hated man in the room, even though you will be the one busting your butt off to try to make the three of them happy? And he said that she makes more. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So who cares about who makes more? I make $63,000 as a school teacher, 70 with my little part-time childcare job. All right. So the last 2 years, I've grossed 70,000 on my tax return. There are people who are making 150,000, 200,000 that can't keep a budget and are flat broke. But they'll look at someone like me living 840 square feet and go, oh, you don't have much. It's not about that. So it doesn't matter. And I sure hope she isn't making so much that that's the reason Robert's attracted to her. But from what I gather about Robert family, what I hear from him, he just sounds like a real nice guy. Like too nice. You know how they say nice guys finish last? This is why.
It's interesting to me that you started doing this stuff in 2020 and you've been dating her 4.5 years. So you met her about the same time. So
I met
so
her
she's watched
a
you
year after
adopt
I
all of
started.
these things.
Correct.
Right. Not only has she watched him adopt his financial habits, she's hightailed it in the opposite direction. These two should never get married. And whatever you do, Robert, for God's sakes, don't adopt the children. Again, I'm only referring to this video. I'm not talking about you, okay? But seriously, in this case, no, Robert. Do not take on legal responsibility for this family.
The more you got engaged with the stuff that we teach, she's watched it. She's had a front row seat for the whole thing.
So I was debt free by the time I met her. I started January 1st as a New Year's resolution, and I met her December 4th. So within that year, I was out of debt. So she never really saw me aggressively attack debt, but I still live the lifestyle. Like I still budget every month.
She does not embrace that lifestyle, Robert. She does not embrace the lifestyle. So let her go. 4 years with her. 4 years is enough time to know.
So she's seen that lifestyle and where it's gotten me, and she doesn't have like the mental mind. Like I see things in numbers and statistics. I'm a spreadsheet nerd. She's the complete opposite. But
yeah,
that opposite would be fine if it complemented your lifestyle. Now, let's get real here. There are people out there going, well, how come it all has to be, to what he wants? Not saying it has to be to what all Robert wants. But what you have to ask yourself is, somewhere, can there be a meeting of the minds? In other words, somewhere can the two of them, meet on a budget? The problem that I see, however, her overdrafts, I don't really care too much. My $600 here turns into $900 or $1,100. In other words, there are some really big signs that this woman is not even ready, in my opinion, to have the meeting of the minds. See, if you can at least have a meeting of the minds, then two people could come together somewhat like this. Let me give you an example, since we have bandwidth time on the internet for this, and it's Sunday. It's only about 5:15. All right, so let's think of it like this. Let's say I meet someone and that person has no debt or very little debt. Okay. So I meet them and let's just say they have a whole lot more money and they're near debt free. And they look at me and I say, hey, you know what? I have $110,000 student loan. I'm giving you a good example here, family. Okay. They have the chance to watch me, just as some of you guys here on this channel have over the last 4 or 5 years. Okay. That I've been on YouTube. And they've had a chance to see how I spend money. They go, oh, well, when she bought a car, which I did in 2024, I bought a Toyota Corolla hybrid. Okay, affordable. Oh, I noticed that she's very aggressive on her student loans. I was very aggressive. I kept the same job. I made sure I had good attendance, good work performance. I made sure I stayed up on the student loan news. In other words, it's not necessary that they both be debt free, okay, to be able to join. I mean, this is just strictly my opinion. That is not necessary. What is necessary is the one that carries debt. That, like I said, the weaker of the link. The weakest link is always going to be the one that spends the money, in my opinion, because that is where the slippery slope comes between we don't have retirement, we don't have savings, we can't afford a simple $400 repair. Okay. If he had been watching her over the last 4 years, just as she has watched him, and he had seen her doing things like, okay, I'm going to go for, I want a $600 food budget. It runs up to, let's just say 900. And she goes, oh my goodness, you know what? I really failed this month on my food budget. And he watches her get back immediately on the horse and get back on the $600 food budget. If he watches her, or if he hears her say, okay, I'd like to have a mommy makeover. I've looked around. I've picked, 3 places. In other words, what evidence has she given him to prove to him that she takes ownership, she takes accountability and awareness for her financial self? And I say, if it pleases the court, she has done nothing to show that. That is where the concern is if Robert should marry her. Let's say someone wanted to marry me. All right. They've had the opportunity to see me over the last few years as my finances have improved. That is what you are looking for, Robert. That's what you want. You want the woman that you can say, wow, if I think about it, just in the time I've had a YouTube channel, in the 5 years that I've had a YouTube channel, it's only recently been discovered. Okay. September 2024. So September 2024, I was at 1,800 subscribers, even though I had been on YouTube for about 5 years. All right. So if just looking at my YouTube audience as they have followed me, okay, divorced, to paying off a condo, to working a part-time job, to getting my student loan forgiven. You see, these are the things that you want to see in someone. Kind of like, if you're watching someone on a health and fitness plan and maybe they're trying to, lose weight or whatever, you want to see them making progress. What has he seen of her making progress? In fact, if anything, I would say her marrying him, she sees him as her financial safety net for her overspending. That's what she sees in him. So they're coming into this so-called marriage really with 2 different financial perspectives. And I think that's a really, really bad recipe. And I've even admitted, as you know, my ex-husband and I, we never discussed money. We never sat down and actually had a money plan. Unless you can sit down and actually discuss the money, you can't grow wealth together. It's impossible. And I'm sure we did like many people, okay, wrongly, very wrong. Hey, you take care of this bill, I'll take care of that bill. It looks about the same. Great. It was not, let's sit down and figure out, okay, we want to retire at 67, 68. I have to work an extra year past the age of 67 to get a full 30-year teacher pension. And you can bet I'm going to do it. All right. Knock on wood. But in other words, we never sat down and we never actually discussed with each other, how are we going to create wealth in our household? And I'll tell you this, being 58 today, divorced 10 years, I look back and I go, God, how dumb was that? Guys, I can look at myself and go, how dumb was it? We never sat down and discussed it, ever. And I realized, why is it that I had an easier job building so-called wealth by myself than with somebody else? It's not because I couldn't build it with somebody else. I was just with somebody. We never sat down and discussed it. We weren't on the same page. As you know, okay, he chose to leave. No secret on this channel. But I do look back and I go, how dumb was that? Nobody knew what anybody was doing. Be that the case. He's marrying somebody who's going to use him as the scapegoat, so to speak, for her financial predicaments that she gets herself in. And he is going to be calling into Ramsey as a 50-year-old man wondering why they have no money and should they file bankrupt.
I'm not asking her to be a nerd.
Yeah,
I am
I'm okay
asking her
with
to
that,
quit
but-
being immature.
Do not marry someone with the expectation that they are going to change. Remember what I said earlier? It is my assumption that they are showing you the best of them. Yes, the best of them. So if this is the best she has to offer, I sure don't want to be married to her to see the worst she has to offer. And depending upon the age of the kids, that could be a real nightmare.
And just buying stuff she can't afford. And I just deserve it. I just want to get it. And so I'm just going to get it. I mean, she doesn't tell herself no, ever. The category.
And she's not going to tell the kids no. And when the kids, like I said, when the kids get upset, she's going to blame stepdad. Robert, if you ever see this, I'm sure you never will. Okay. Robert, there are other women out there. They are so uncomplicated. There are even other women out there with kids that understand a budget. Go find one of them. Okay. There are women out there with kids that understand a budget that go, yeah, you know what? We see budgeting the same way. And because a woman who can't tell herself no, can't tell her kids no either.
Breaches you talked about, the purchase breaches you talked about, those are all, I just look at it and I'm going to do it anyway. Like that, like there's a sense of entitlement or immaturity or something there that's bothering me in this. I can't tell what it is exactly. So what would we do in this situation? You guys have got to resolve this before you go forward.
No, there is nothing to resolve. This is where you go. It's been 4.5 years. I love you immensely, but I think I'm not the right person for you.
I found you guys in 2020, and after paying off all my debt, I'm now on baby step 6. I've been dating the same woman for 4.5 years. She's absolutely amazing. I love her to death. The one thing we struggle with is money, and we pretty much see it kind of opposite. We're getting to a point in our relationship where we're heavily discussing marriage and what all that looks like. And we're kind of in a spot where, I try to help her as much as possible and as much as she wants me to, I guess, to set up budgets and stuff like that. And it just never works out. She always goes way over budget or whatever. And if we were to get married, like she would sell her house and move in with me, and the profits from that would pay off all of her debts. She has about $65,000 in debts. So it's not really like a concern from that aspect. It's more just, I guess I'm scared to move forward with someone that I've never seen can stay within a budget. And I'm worried that it's the number one reason people get a divorce. I'm worried about becoming a statistic because we fight about money all the time.
Can I ask this, Robert? Is she not being able to stay is she not able to stay on budget because the budget's not realistic for what she's set up? Or is it that she truly spends more than she makes and she's just says that's just how it is?
Yeah, she just spends more than she makes. I mean, she brings in more money than I do, honestly.
What does she spend it on? What's she doing? Shopping, vacations? Like what's
Yeah. So like in her every dollar, she's got a food category that's supposed to be $600. Last month she spent $1,100, and then like her shopping, it's supposed to be I think $400, and that includes even like unnecessary fun purchases that everyone has to have. But instead she spent like $900. She's a mom of 2. She wants to get a mommy makeover, and so like in her head she's justifying, well, if I can pay off these 2 debts, that's payments equal what the mommy makeover payments will make, then I can do it. But she's never once made like that extra debt payment to even pay those debts down. She's more of like a, you got to spend the money that you make to have fun kind of thing than I am.
It's interesting to me that you started doing this stuff in 2020, and you've been dating her 4.5 years. So you met her about the same time. So
I met her.
So she's watched you adopt all of
started.
these things.
Correct.
The more you
she's
got
very proud of me.
engaged, the more you got engaged with the stuff that we teach. She's watched it. She's had a front row seat for the whole thing.
So I was debt free by the time I met her. I started January 1st as a New Year's resolution, and I met her December 4th. So within that year, I was out of debt. So she never really saw me aggressively attack debt, but I still live the lifestyle. Like, I still budget every month. I still, so she's seen that lifestyle and where it's gotten me. And she doesn't have like the mental mind. Like, I see things in numbers and statistics. I'm a spreadsheet nerd. She's the complete opposite. But
yeah, I'm not asking her to be a nerd.
Yeah,
I am
okay
asking her
with
to
that,
quit
but-
being immature and just buying stuff she can't afford. And I just deserve it. I just want to get it. And so I'm just going to get it. I mean, she doesn't tell herself no, ever. The category breaches you talked about, the purchase breaches you talked about, those are all, I just look at it and I'm going to do it anyway. Like there's a sense of entitlement or immaturity or something there that's bothering me in this. I can't tell what it is exactly. So what would we do in this situation? You guys have got to resolve this before you go forward. Not necessarily she has to become the nerd that you are, or she has to stay on a budget, but whatever the core issue is that she's struggling with here, immaturity, entitlement, because you can't just, she's not acting like an adult in the sense that you can't just spend $900
Right, more
when
than
you
make-
say,
I
I'm
mean,
going to spend $400.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to figure out with,
That's weird.
is she not budgeting correctly? Because there are some people that are like, oh, I'm going to make.
Well,
I'm
then
gonna
change
do
the budget. Then change the budget.
That's what I'm saying. But this sounds like it's above that. It's like that she could live within the numbers that she set, correct? Like she has to mathematically.
She makes enough money to pay to do it right. She just chooses not to have any boundaries for herself.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing. So what would I do? If I were in your shoes, I would say, look, we have to resolve this and get aligned on it to go forward, because it's not going to, you're going to have a long life, because you're going to think I'm just picking on you all the time. And I don't want to be the bad guy in this all the time.
And it's a value
and
standpoint.
I'm not going to sign up for the bad guy role.
Yeah, and it's not, again, we've said it twice in the call, but I think this is important for couples to hear. You're not trying to form her into you, right?
No.
Because I'm the free spirit. As you're speaking, I'm like, oh my gosh, that would so be me if I wasn't doing the Ramsey plan. I am. I'm just a spender, emotions. I'm like, yep, we're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy. But having to learn a value system of boundaries, a value system of living below your means, a value system that stuff is not going to make me happy. There's a contentment issue there as well. Like, all of these things are values, where I still month to month spend more than Winston, my husband, because I am more of a spender than he is, but it's in the budget. So
That's easy, because Winston doesn't spend any money.
Yeah, he doesn't spend a lot. So. But it's like, the idea is, again, it's the values that we agree upon, not the personality trait necessarily. But if we can't have boundaries and limits to our money, and we keep going over and over and over and over and over,
that's a problem.
Then there's an issue there, and even with debt, I would say debt's a value system. That if you are uncomfortable with living with debt, that it gives you stress, the risk of it, it's not worth it. It is. I want the autonomy, and she's completely okay with it, and it's totally fine to live by my means, and I'll live on credit cards and just try to pay, the minimum balance every month or the minimum payment. Then again, there's a value system there that will be really excruciating to walk along life with. And this is your partner, right? Like, when you go